Hello, everyone. This is Rose. Today's topic from the Book of Life is Young Heart, Run Free. Don't be a fool for love. Let's take a look at this short story from the Book of Life. Jennifer is sitting in her kitchen, sipping on a hot cup of coffee as she reflects on her blessings. She thinks to herself, I am so grateful to God for his love and help in raising my only child, Xavier. It's hard being a single mother of a man child. Xavier has always been a strong-minded person in following the path he chooses to follow. With God's help and guidance, the path Xavier chosen to follow has been in alignment with how he was raised. Jennifer's thoughts was interrupted by Xavier calling her name from his bedroom. Yes, Xavier, what is it that you need? Shouts Jennifer. Mom, I do not see the items you packed for me yesterday to take with me for my dorm room. Jennifer informed Xavier that she placed the box items in his car. Jennifer's husband, Xavier Sr., dies while serving in the military 1 month before Xavier enters into high school. Xavier Jr.'s first year of high school was extremely difficult because of the loss of his father. Jennifer made sure Xavier received proper counseling to help him cope with the trauma of losing his father. Jennifer coped with the loss of her husband by spending every morning she woke up and every evening before going to bed on her knees in prayer. She listened to many inspirational tapes and music throughout the day. The thought of raising a male child without his father was very scary to her. Now she can sit back, sip on a cup of coffee, while allowing her thoughts, her internal thoughts, to praise God for helping her through a very horrendous time in her life. After graduating from high school, Xavier wasn't ready to leave his mother alone to adventure into the world of college away from home. He felt it would be best if he took his general college courses at the local community college near their home. This would give him a chance to become more familiar with college life before actually living in a dorm. Now at the age of 20, Xavier is ready to take the next step after completing all of his general courses at the local community college. Xavier has enrolled in the university as well as applied for a room in the dorm, and he's ready to make that step, to make that move. After he observed how his mom dealt with the tragedy of his father's death, he feels she will be okay. She will be okay. She knew what to do to help her and him get through such a very traumatic time in their life. So he felt she would be okay with him only being 2 hours away from home in college. He figured, if my mom needs me, hop on Interstate 5, I'm back home within 2 hours. As Jennifer was kissing her son on his cheek before he pulls out the driveway to head north on Interstate 5, she hands him one of her best friend's business cards. She tells him, son, I informed Lola that you will be living on campus near her house for the next 2 years. She insists that you use her as a second emergency that is local, so a place that is near the school where someone can get to you fast. She wants you to know that her home is always open to you should you need a night away from the dorm life. I think it's a good idea. I think it's good to have an emergency contact that is local from someone who is a good friend of mine. Xavier takes the business card from his mom, and then he said, "Thanks, Mom. I will give her a call after I settle into my dorm room to let her know that I am in town and would love to see her in person. The last time I saw her was at Dad's funeral. It would be a little awkward using her as an emergency contact when we both do not know what each other look like now, after years of not seeing each other. I think that is a good idea, son. I will call her tonight to give her a heads up that you will contact her as soon as you get settled. Okay, son, drive safe and call me once you reach your destination." "Will do, Mom." Xavier drives off as his mom waves bye until he is out of sight. A week after arriving at school, Xavier is now settled in his dorm room. He gives Lola a call. Lola picks up on the second ring. "Hello, Xavier. Your name popped up on my caller ID. Your mother told me you will be giving me a call once you settle into your room." "Hello, Miss Lola." "Oh no," shouts Lola. "I will not have you calling me Miss Lola. I am only 15 years older than you. So please do not make me feel old. I was a freshman in high school, and your mother was in her second year of college when we met. As a matter of fact, not sure if your mother told you, but my mother was your mother, college counselor. Your mother became my mentor and close friend." "Sorry, please accept my apologies," states Xavier. "I will call you Lola." He says, "I would love to meet with you at Starbucks so we can bring each other current before I use you as a second emergency contact on my school records." She tells him, "Dear, I would not have you meet me at Starbucks. I live in this big 2-story house alone. I can cook you a meal or I can order some food for delivery. Why don't you come to my house on Saturday around 4 o'clock? "Okay, Lola, I will see you on Saturday. Can you text me your address?" "Sure thing, love," states Lola before saying good night and hanging up. "Wow," thought Xavier after hanging up from talking to Lola. "She sounds young. I wonder if she looks as young as she sounds." Xavier begins to think back to the last time he saw her. He said, "I was 14 years old when Dad died. But so much was going on during that time period, I don't recall." He said, "If I was 14, that means she has to be 29. The last time I saw her, she was 29. Heck, I don't remember. Everybody over the age of 20 when you're young looks old to you. As a kid, everybody is old when they're over the age of 20." Well, Xavier thinks to himself, this meeting will be very interesting. Saturday has arrived. Xavier wasn't sure what to wear to Lola's house for dinner. He did not want to appear to look like the kid she saw 6 years ago. And he definitely did not want to look like he was dressed for a date. He decided to wear a pair of jeans fresh from the cleaners with a dress shirt and a nice clean pair of sneakers. After pulling in the driveway at Lola's house, Xavier sat in the car for a minute, observing her house. Wow, he thinks to himself. She must be married with kids to have such a big house. I should have asked her, is it okay with her family for me to list her as a second emergency contact? I sure hope her family is not angry with me. Lola opens the door soon after Xavier rang the doorbell. That was quick, thought Xavier. Hello, Xavier. Come in. You look just as handsome today as you did 6 years ago. Not only are you handsome, but I must say, you have matured well and filled out in all the right places. Let's go have a seat in the living room where we can catch up. Xavier follows behind Lola to the living room. She was wearing a long-fitting, sexy dress. I took the liberty of ordering food. It should be here shortly, states Lola. I hope you like roast chicken and baby back ribs, mashed potatoes, and grilled asparagus. Sounds good to me, states Xavier. Lola and Xavier sit and talked for 10 minutes when the doorbell rang. Lola asked Xavier to escort her to the door. It was the delivery guy with the food order. Xavier grabs the container from the delivery guy as Lola closed the door. She asked Xavier to follow her to the dining area. Lola had the table set for two already. She asked Xavier to place the food containers on the table. She points to a door outside the dining area, and she tells him that's where he can go wash his hands and freshen up for dinner. After washing her hands, she asks Xavier what he would like to drink. She gives him a choice of wine, Sprite, cola, or flavored water. Xavier chose Sprite as well as some flavored water. Lola pours herself a glass of wine. As they ate, Lola tells Xavier about her life. She explains to him what she do for a living, how she works at home, why she is single without children. She basically just gives him a rundown of her life. She asks Xavier if he has a girlfriend. She smiled from ear to ear after he replied no to her question. She asked Xavier if he would like to come to her home every Sunday for dinner so that he doesn't have to eat cafeteria food every day. Xavier agreed to dinner at Lola's house on Sundays. After dinner was over, Lola walks Xavier to the door. She kissed him on the cheek before saying, I see you next week on Sunday. Sure thing, shouts Xavier. The first week of school was hectic. New students were running around trying to find their classes. As Xavier sits in each of his classes, listening to the professor go over the curriculum, He looks around at the students attending the class. He thinks to himself, why does it appear to be more older students than young ones my age? Seeing the older students made him reflect on how young Lola looks for her age. She looks to be around my age. Xavier thinks to himself. After eating in the cafeteria all week, Xavier was looking forward to a home-cooked meal. When he arrived at Lola's house, she was taking the lasagna out of the oven. It smelled so good in there. Xavier helped her set the table and carry the serving dishes of food to the table. Lola proceeded to make the salad, and she asked Xavier to get the dinner rolls from the oven. After the table was set and the food was on the table all in place, she asked Xavier if he would like a spritzer. Assuming it was sparkling soda, he said yes. He didn't know what a spritzer was, and he didn't want to ask her because he didn't want to appear to be a young kid that didn't know anything. So he said, sounds like a sparkling soda to me. Yes, I have one. Xavier drank several spritzers. It tastes like ginger ale and Sprite mixed with agave for a little sweetening. He loved the way it tastes. He had no idea the drink included white wine. Xavier was drinking these drinks like it was water. Xavier noticed he was talking more than usually, but didn't think much of it. He just felt relaxed. Lola was sitting within inches of him on the couch. He felt so relaxed and so good. He noticed he could smell her perfume and how he loved the smell of her perfume. He was just so energetic and emotional and aware of everything. And he just took it as he was feeling comfortable and relaxed around her. At one point, he laid his head back on the couch. When he did that, Lola moved closer to him. Then she kissed him on the lips. Xavier couldn't believe how much he loved the kiss and wanted more. He put his open hand behind Lola's head as he pushed her head forward to kiss him again. Next thing you know, Xavier wakes up the next morning at 5 a.m. in Lola's bed. They both were naked. He couldn't believe he slept with his mother's best friend. This being his first encounter with going all the way without clothes on made him feel like a well-pleased man. He was filled with emotions and did not know what to say. He was feeling himself. He can recall throughout the night them making love. He was surprised that he knew what to do. Lola asked him if he wanted breakfast before going to class. No thanks, replied Xavier. I have a class at 8 a.m. I need to go shower and prepare for class. Before opening the door to leave, Lola kissed Xavier long and hard. She was letting him know that she was well pleased with him in his performance last night. She told him that she enjoyed their night together and that she was looking forward to next Sunday. Xavier smiled, then said, "I will see you next Sunday." As Xavier was driving back to campus, he begins to think out loud. I guess that means I did okay last night, and she was well pleased, just as I was. Wow, I can't believe I made love to a woman. Who would have thought my first time would be with a woman, not a girl, and that I would naturally know how to please her? For the entire week, Xavier was feeling like the big man on campus. He kept daydreaming about last Sunday and fantasizing about the coming Sunday. Xavier spent every Sunday at Lola's house eating, drinking spritzers, and having sex with her. At the end of the first semester, Xavier was barely passing with a C average. Xavier forgot his mother was listed in his school files to receive an email copy of his grades. Jennifer couldn't believe what she was reading as she opened her email to see the grades her son has received for his first semester of college at the university. She immediately knew something was wrong. How could her son go from a 4.0 A student to a C student in one semester? Throughout high school, he was a A student, 4.0. His first 2 years in community college taking general courses, he was a 4.0 A student. What happened in one semester? She felt he was engaging in some type of outside activities that was distracting him from his schoolwork. I know my son is 20 years of age, but as a concerned parent, I need to find out what the heck is going on at that school. Xavier calls home unbeknown to him that his mother knows about his grades, but she didn't let the cat out the bag. He calls home to his mother to inform her that he will be staying on campus at the end of the semester during Christmas break. He tells her that the new semester begins the middle of January and he wanted to use the time to prepare for the new semester. Jennifer tells Xavier that she understands. She was very calm, cool, and collected. She didn't let on to him that she knew something else was going on. Little did Xavier know that his mother was planning on making a surprise visit during the winter break. After hanging up the phone with his mother, Xavier packed a bag full of clothes, then headed to Lola's house to spend winter break. Early the next morning, Jennifer leaves her boss a message stating she has an emergency and therefore will not be coming into the office. She enters onto Interstate 5, heading north around 3:30 a.m., heading to her son's college. When she arrives at 5:30 a.m., she was told that her son was not there because he went home for the winter break. Jennifer was confused. She did not know what to do. What is going on with Xavier? Why is he saying he coming home? He went home when he did not. So she decided to go to her best friend's house to get some advice, to talk to her best friend about how to handle the situation and just get some advice. She felt talking things out would bring something to her as well as get advice from her friend on what to do. Jennifer knew Lola works from home and pretty much set her own schedule. Therefore, she did not feel bad about showing up unannounced. Jennifer parked on the streets. She noticed there wasn't any cars in the driveway. Then she remembered that Lola was one of the few people who actually used her garage to park her car. Jennifer rang the doorbell several times before Lola opened the door with a sleepy, surprised look on her face. "Sorry to wake you up, Lola, but I really need to talk with you." Before Lola could say anything, Jennifer pushed past her friend, then proceeded to walk towards the living room. As Jennifer sat on the couch, she noticed her son's coat was lying over the back of a chair facing the couch. A few minutes later, she hears her son shouting from upstairs, asking Lola if everything was all right and to hurry back upstairs because Papa was standing at attention and was in need of TLC, some tender loving care. Jennifer was in shock. She ran up the stairs to find her son lying naked in Lola's bed. Xavier threw cover over his private parts, then shouted, "Mom, what are you doing here?" "This explains why you are failing in school," shouts Jennifer. She turns to Lola, then shouts, "I trusted you with my son, you cradle robber." Jennifer was so hurt, she runs down the stairs and out of Lola's house, crying. She was so angry at Lola, she feared if she did not leave, she would strike her with her fists. She drives the 2 hours back home. Xavier, still feeling himself as a man, gets up after his mom leaves. He showers, and then he proceeded to have breakfast with Lola, then packed his bags to go home for the winter break. He expressed to Lola that he would give her a call and let her know how things go at home. He wanted to calm his mom down. After he leaves to head home, he wasn't sure what he was going to say to his mother, but knew he had to fix what just happened. So once he arrives home, Xavier explains to his mother how him and Lola end up becoming intimate friends. Jennifer sat quietly, listened to her son. She made sure that he was able to get everything out, say all that he needed to say to her. Then she grabs her son by both hands. She realized what had happened to her son in that moment as he was talking. So she knew she had to handle this differently. She couldn't handle it from a mother perspective yelling at her young child. She knew her son had become a man. So she grabs his hands in her hands. She looks him in the eyes as she begins to speak to him. She says to him, "Look, son, you may be freshly off milk. However, you are still being spoon-fed. Your heart is young. Young heart, run free. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't be a fool for love when love doesn't love you. Son, Sex isn't love. It's an emotional act that's supposed to express in a physical way the love two people have for each other. However, people engage in sex as a fun thing to do. When this happens, it can distract people from life purposes, causing them to delay or lose what is important and significant for their life. This is what's happening to you, son. Sex for you with Lola, you may see it as love, but for Lola, it's a fun thing to do. Lola is using you because you are young and green behind the ears, which means she can train you to be what she desires in bed. Because this is your first time, you are emotionally attracted to someone who will eventually leave you confused, hurt, and broken. Please, son, please, young heart, don't be a fool for love that don't love you. Click the thumbs up and the subscribe button for more notifications from the Book of Life. Remember to click that thumbs up button. Be blessed and safe, people. Peace.